What's going on, guys? Come on in and sit down. It's Heath and Tracy on the Love Seat. This is the Love Seat Live. I'm Heath.
And I'm Tracy.
If this is the first time you're seeing Tracy and I, we are relationship strategists specializing in premarital preparedness and intramarital improvement. We want you married and motivated.
All right.
For more information, you can go to heathandtracy.com for all the goings on with Heath and Tracy.
Yeah, everything is on the website, guys. So
tonight we're talking about the most important gift that one spouse can give to another.
What's that?
It's absolutely the most important. If you ask any psychologist, any marriage therapist, they will tell you, quite frankly, that if you have self-awareness,
okay,
that is the best gift that you can give to your spouse.
I can see that. So self-awareness is one of the characteristics we are going to teach on this year, basically marriage intelligence. And marriage intelligence sounds a lot like emotional intelligence. Yes. Basically, what Heath and I have done is we've taken some of the characteristics from emotional intelligence and we've transferred them to being married, being with someone else. So now we call it marriage intelligence.
Yes.
So the first characteristic that we've been discussing starts with self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
So when it comes to self-awareness, it's about you understanding who you are as a person so that you can convey that to your spouse and that they have a better understanding of who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, they don't know who you are. And how are you going to deal with somebody you don't know?
It's confusing.
It's very confusing. So it's really important to be self-aware in your relationship for it to be successful.
Right.
Heath and I talk about how we didn't have a lot of things when we got married, but self-awareness was something that we did have.
It's true. It's true. And so as we're diving into this evening, we want to talk about how this awareness where it comes from.
Right.
How does it develop in you? And
the origins.
You have to understand how you were reared, what your experience was with your caregivers, and how you were indoctrinated into various scenarios like conflict, like communication. What was it like in your house as it relates to rage or anger? What was it like in your household when it comes to the experience with communicating with one another?
So the first question you ask is conflict. What was conflict like growing up in your house? Were your parents did they yell at each other? Did they yell at you? Did they pop the top? Like I popped my top.
Pop the top.
And I get that from one of my parents. I'm not going to say who it is.
No, we wouldn't do that.
I saw that happen, and what I do when I pop my top is I pop my top, and that's it, and it's over with, it's done. I don't hold a grudge. I move on. Everything's great.
Right.
But I learned that about myself because I saw it so much. And what I recognized in it was, that's actually not too bad. Okay, it's over with now. That was rough, but it's over with now. And so with me having a self-awareness around that, I'm able to control it a little bit better as we've gotten along in our marriage. Wouldn't you say, babe?
Yeah, I think that it's probably also a stress reliever for you, right? Where
it really
you deal with things in a different way than I do or than other people, right? And so for you, it's like if something's going on, if something is irritating you, if it's rubbing you the wrong way, boom, you let it go and you're done, right? And so for me, my communication indoctrination with my parents was, hey, if something was out of sorts, if I was doing something wrong, I was gonna get the lecture. It was gonna be long. It was gonna be drawn out. It was gonna drive me nuts. It was just like, can you just spank me? Just, I gotta listen to this for like another 20 minutes. Come on, man.
And he does it to our kids.
And so that was just the way that I was taught. And so as I became an adult, as I became a parent, I discovered that I was doing the same thing with my children. And so now
they look at it as punishment.
If they're out of sorts, if they're not executing on what I've asked them to do, they getting the lecture.
Yeah, they getting it.
Oh, they gonna get it.
Now, what about me? How do I feel about the lectures? So, what I've learned over the years.
You're very quick with
now,
it.
when we were first married, it was like this is not happening.
Right.
this doesn't work for me. I'm not listening to you.
You need to listen to me.
And it's not happening.
I need to convey to you what I'm feeling about this situation.
Okay, say it and get it over with.
It's not going to be a 2-second conversation. It's like I take time. I got to go through my thoughts. I got to think about how I'm going to say it. You got to sit down. You got to be calm. We got to be like this. You can't just be coming at me with all that aggression. I'm like, oh my God, is she mad? Is she angry?
And no, I wasn't. So, but we learned that about one another.
Right.
So because he knew that, he was able to express that to me.
Right.
And so I got to a point in our marriage where I was like, okay, let me get a cup of tea. Let me sit down, drink coffee. Let me sit down and just breathe.
Right.
And then I got into the practice of putting my hand over my mouth.
Yep.
Because it would help me not say anything while he was talking.
I'm like, why you interrupting me? Why you keep it? I'm trying to keep
it. Don't bring back those days.
It's going to take me a minute.
And then with me popping my top, if you can imagine in a new marriage.
Why is she so mad all the time?
It wasn't all the time.
No, I'm saying when it happens, you just thinking to yourself, every time I look around, she like, oh, man. So here we are. 28 years, 4 children later, we smooth with it. Yeah. She gonna pop her top, it's gonna be fine. She gonna get it off her chest. She gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna figure out what's going on. But you know, a point for those folks in relationships out there, if she's popping her top about something that's relating to me, the first thing that I do is I take evaluation into what I did or what I did not do.
Start with yourself.
Start with myself. Okay, so if I had done X, Y, and Z and taken care of this when it should have been taken care of, my wife wouldn't have popped her top. So now,
didn't I do that the other day?
As opposed to going at her and you always on, that's not what it is, right? I need to evaluate self first.
But we got to that place because I'm able to communicate to Heath that, look, this is how I am. This is how I'm wired. And I've told him the stories of my parents doing that. So then he comes from a place of understanding. He has a little bit of empathy, which is another characteristic
I see what you did right there.
Of marriage intelligence.
Empathy is important, but we're not talking about empathy today. We're still on self-awareness. So all good. I think that you're getting the gist of what we're talking about, where we're coming from. It's all about understanding the origins of these things, how you were indoctrinated, how you dealt with anger, how you dealt with fear, how things were dealt with in the households that you grew up in.
Right. We're talking about where the characteristics of your self-awareness came from.
Right.
That's the beginning to understanding
yourself. That's right.
Is okay, I feel like this, I don't like this, I don't like that. Yep. Like we talked about corned beef. My kids hate corned beef. And it's like, why do you hate corned beef? It's like, well, when I was little, my grandmother cooked it every week for Sunday dinner.
It was in the regular rotation.
And they're like, don't bring no corned beef around me. So if we ever visit your home,
that's right,
don't cook corned beef. No. My kids will not eat it.
No, that's a no-go.
And it's not bad. It's cool. But they don't want no corned beef and cabbage. They just don't want it. It was a Sunday night thing for our house for like a long, long time. So they're like, I can't do it.
So tasty.
I guess. But yeah, so you want to think about how that originated. Yep. Where did that come from? I popped my top. I know where that came from. He likes to lecture the kids. He knows where that came from.
Right.
What about safety and security?
Yeah.
Where did your origins about yourself, about what you think about yourself around safety and security? And I think that translates to roles, don't you?
Yeah, it does, because some people have the indoctrination of traditional roles, the security of the family. The first thing you think about is financial security, right? And so, was dad the breadwinner? Was dad out working all the time? Was he hustling on the side? Was he doing all these different things? Or was it a mother, right? It might have been a single-parent household. You might have some experiences in that vein. And the point is that what makes you feel safe? And where does that come from? And how was that modeled in the environment that you were reared in?
And you have to know what that is in order to communicate that to your spouse. If you're just married or been married for a while and you don't quite feel secure, or you're not understanding why you're not secure, think about why you need that.
Yep.
Think about where that feeling comes from, once again, looking at self so that you can communicate that to your spouse.
Right.
I have this thing for sleeping on a certain side of the bed. I have to sleep on I can't sleep on the door side. So he understands that about me. And I think it's something from when I was younger, it was like my parents always put my room that way or something. So I always felt like I had to be away from the door. And it stayed with me like through, college and everything. I was always away from the door.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to think about. I think another thing with security is your spouse contributing? I have two fathers. I have stepfather and my father, and they're very much involved in my life, both of them. They were huge providers.
Right.
So if that's a trigger for you, you have to understand that and communicate that and understand that with your partner.
Right.
And let them understand, look, I don't need you to be balling out here, but I need you to be bringing something in.
Yeah.
I need you to be taking care of something. That gives me security.
And conversely, that partner also has to have that empathy, that compassion of understanding why you feel that way, where that came from,
right.
what your experience was, and especially if the experience was different from
right.
theirs.
If it was the opposite too, if it was the opposite of theirs, or if your parents struggled with finances when you were young, so now you are head on, focused like a laser beam on it. You need to understand that that's where it came from also.
Right.
So it's not always the same scenario, but there is an underlying reason why you are the way you are. And it starts with you figuring out what happened first, what happened early, where did it come from?
Check out those origins, guys. We appreciate you watching and being with us today. Check out heathentracy.com for all the information on Heath and Tracy. We've got a lot of things happening right now. So go to that website, heathentracy.com.
And join us every Monday night right here at 7 on The Love Seat Live. And also, don't forget to listen to Joyfully Married After the podcast. Thank you so much. See you next week.